I will. I will do that. I'll do that right now. Let me get this book out of the way. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you all very much for coming here to Wilson High School. We decided to have our press biweekly here today because we're doing it in conjunction with an event that was actually held by the students. It was the second annual, I'll call it GLBT Day at Wilson High School. We were here last year for the first, we know in the city, for any high school, and maybe the first at any high school in the nation. And we were here again today. I want to thank Chris Obermeyer, who is a teacher who helped the young people organize this. And we had an announcement today that I didn't know until I got here was going to happen. Many of you know P.K. Hall, who is the principal of Wilson High School, a man who I've gotten to know very well, have worked very closely with him. And in his opening comments today, he took the opportunity to announce that he is a gay man, and he is proud of it. And I was proud to be with him today when he made that announcement. For those who don't know, Pete was a football player, I think, at the University of Virginia, and now joins other sterling athletes like Michael Sam, who was just drafted by the, by the St. Louis Rams out of University of Missouri to play football in the National Football League. And, of course, Jason Collins, who has been, he was a great basketball player at Stanford and then has played in the National Basketball Association for a number of years. Thank you very much for that announcement. You know, and a few other things, and then we'll just open it up for any questions that you all may have. We, of course, now are in the midst of planning for Capitol Pride. That is always a big event here in the city. I can't remember the last time I didn't participate in Capitol Pride. I started doing it even before I was a council member, and will continue on as long as there's an opportunity for me to do that. We're looking forward to a great day on Saturday, and I'm going to leave it at that because Sterling will come up and talk more about it shortly. Some of the things that we've done, we've reconstituted the GLBT Advisory Committee, which advises our Office of GLBT Affairs. Sterling and Amy, of course, who run that in such an outstanding fashion. They do a sterling job of that. We also, now we're in our third year of having established through the Project Empowerment Program a transgender training program. And we've now gotten a number of people jobs, including 4, which is never enough, of course, but we got 4 of our transgender folks who are working in the D.C. government at this stage, and I'm proud of the progress that we're making. We also launched a while ago a transgender and gender identity respect campaign. We did that at MOVA up on 14th Street, and we are continuing now with the work to try to help people understand what it means to be transgender, and obviously promoting acceptance as much as we can. I was at an event last night, Casa Ruby. She had her second anniversary event last night, and we were there for that, and it was yet another opportunity to underscore the importance of acceptance, if you will. I don't like the word tolerance. That's a terrible, people use that all the time. I don't like that word. And that is recognizing who we are and that we want to have a place, for everybody in this city. For those who don't know, in 2012, I appointed 2 transgender women to serve on the D.C. Commission on Human Rights, Earlene Budd and Alexandra Beninda, both of whom are serving ably there. We established a cultural competency training program for all of our District of Columbia government agencies. We've now trained 99% of the managers, and I think 40% of our line staff have now been trained as well. We also have worked hard, and Monica Palacio, who is our director of the Office of Human Rights, has the lead responsibility with our bullying policy. We have one of the most comprehensive and forward-thinking policies on bullying in the nation at this stage. Suzanne Greenfield is our person who works directly on that, and we're continuing to work hard to move forward with combating bullying. Bullying has probably been with us since we had schools, but that doesn't mean we should accept it as a reality of life for anybody. I'm also pleased that we've entered into a partnership with the Office of the U.S. Attorney to create community impact statements that help us then understand better make the case for allegations of hate crimes, where people can make statements that help us understand the circumstances and dynamics that are associated with that. We are going to, on June 14th, have our this year's, I guess our second annual, we'll call it the second annual, LGBT Youth Town Hall meeting. It will be at the Columbia Heights Recreation Center at 12:30. It will be for anybody who wants to come and participate. Tell Mr. Cahall to stay. I'd love to have him stay if he would. Okay, come on up, Pete. Come on up. We work very closely. Our LGBT community and the Office of LGBT Affairs works very closely with our MPD at this stage in trying to combat hate crimes and improve understanding, especially among our law enforcement officers as well. We also now, the Department of Corrections has a transgender advisory committee that meets on a quarterly basis. In our continuing effort, even in our penal system, our law enforcement agencies to be able to improve outcomes and the acceptance of people who oftentimes are discriminated against because of their differentness. There's so many other things I could say. I'm really proud of where we've come. Having created marriage equality here in the District of Columbia. We'll have the 5th anniversary of that later this year in December. The Parker Dearne Jones Birth Certificate Equality Act of 2013, which I was pleased to sign, which allows people who are undergoing gender transition, which we now have authorized the insurance payments for people who want to do that, to be able to get their birth certificate changed so they can reflect who they are rather than continuing to have to make explanations of something. And, of course, we now have I have the capacity to be able to perform marriages in the District of Columbia. And the first marriage I performed a number of months ago was a same-sex marriage between two men who came and asked me if I would perform the ceremony, and I was absolutely ecstatic to do that. We did it in the Wilson building. There's more that could be said. We'll be happy to take any of your comments. But, the principal of Wilson High School has joined me here. Before I call on Sterling, Pete Cahall is somebody I've gotten to know and know well. Before you walked in, Pete, I made the announcement that you made out there very proudly. I mentioned that you went.
Your voice wasn't quivering proudly either.
Well, it's understandable that yours was. And I did mention, I think I'm right, that you went to the University of Virginia.
Yep.
And you were. My
kids
kids went. That's
yep.
right. And you were a football player there. And this has been done today in the spirit of Michael Sam, Jason Collins, and I think continues to dispel the myth about the fact that there is not diversity among those who may be GLBT. That in fact there are. That whether because one may be gay doesn't mean they can't play football or basketball, and that's being amply demonstrated. And I want to congratulate you today on making that announcement. As you know, I didn't know it until I got here. In fact, I said to you, well, Pete, I'll just put my notes aside. This is going to be a lot bigger than anything I may say today at the event. I want to thank you for supporting these students here and Mr. Obermeyer in being able to do this. And I look forward to working with you and the Chancellor and others to be able to expand this all across our network of high schools in the District of Columbia. But Wilson High School always will have been the first.
We had 3 other high schools represented today, Roosevelt, Woodson, and 1 other.
Okay.
Yeah, we had 3 other high schools with faculty members and students here today to see what the Pride Day was. I know one was from, we had a group from Roosevelt, 1 from Woodson, and I can't remember the other school right now.
Can we ask you a couple of questions? I see that you're still a little bit nervous, and I know I've seen you in front of cameras before. You don't get nervous at all. Tell me how this was for you, and why you decided today was the best day for you to make this announcement.
I just turned 50 a couple weeks ago. And, just something kept saying, I'm tired of hiding. And as a principal, if I was going to stand in front of these kids today saying we're celebrating our pride and you can be who you are, and I would be a hypocrite if I continue to hide. So I felt like I've got a model for the kids, and I wouldn't be true to myself or to my kids. So I just felt it was the right place, the right time, and I'm not going to find any other support. These kids are just, I love the kids. I love this community, the staff. I just feel like they're very supportive, and I just felt comfortable, and I just felt like it was time, and the fact that the mayor was going to be here.
So many high schoolers go through troubles as they are growing up. Do you think this sends a message to them that they're not alone, that their principal is also...
Oh, I've had a couple come up to me already, and, thank me, and, thank you for being honest. And, because growing up, the word gay wasn't even allowed to be mentioned, let alone to think about and talk about that, so.
Thank you, Pete.
Okay.
Pete, congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Appreciate it.
All right, I'm going to ask the director of our Office of GLBT Affairs, Sterling Washington, if he would come up. And by the way, Sterling is an alumnus of Wilson High School, so we want to make mention of that again, Sterling. So go right ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. It is an honor to be here today at my alma mater, Woodrow Wilson Senior High School, and I, too, was proud of the Wilson students and the principal and their efforts to promote equality through the LGBTQ Pride earlier. I just want to briefly describe what the mayor has planned for the remainder of Capitol Pride in the week following it. This Saturday, the mayor will participate in the Capitol Pride Parade for the 4th time as mayor. Last year, he had the largest contingent any mayor has ever had in the parade, and we hope to surpass that this year. This is significant because myriad of the contingent marchers are district government employees and their families, and this speaks to the commitment that the city government feels for improving life in this city for LGBTQ residents. And actually, I have a preview of the T-shirt we will all be wearing on Saturday. Sure. And on Sunday, the mayor will speak from the stage of the Capitol Pride Festival. The Capitol Pride Festival is the largest of the 7 annual Pride celebrations that occur in the district, and the mayor will be speaking before a crowd of at least 25,000. He will highlight some of his administration's accomplishments and also discuss the importance of D.C. statehood. And on Saturday, June 14th, Mayor Gray will hold his 2nd annual Youth LGBTQ Town Hall from 12:30 to 2:30 p.m. at Columbia Heights Recreation Center. And for those young people watching, the mayor will be raffling off tickets to Night Out at the Nationals at the Youth LGBTQ Town Hall. So we certainly encourage you to come. And now the mayor will answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Open topic?
Not yet. You know the drill, Mr. Sherwood. Yeah, that's my rule. That's right, Matt. Whip them up, man.
Mr. Mayor, we'll ask you about, I know you don't want to give a great deal of publicity to it, but the Westboro Church has that indicated it will come here on Monday? Do you anticipate you'll be here with the counter demonstration for the students? How are you handling that?
I just found out about it yesterday. It's the 9th that's going to take place. And if I can be here with the counter demonstration, I will do it. It's my understanding that we've had about 1,000 people, students, parents, community activists, others who will be here. It's a disgrace to me to have a group come from Kansas and participate in something as backward thinking as this is. And I've read some of their material, and I don't mind repeating what I said. What I said out at the student rally, and that is, in my best biblical reference, they can go straight to hell.
I think that answers the question.
And yes, I will be here if it's all possible. I don't know if they schedule a time to be here. They have what time?
8:15, Mr. Mayor.
8:15. Okay, and they'll be here all day.
No, sir, they'll be here from 8:15 to 8:45.
Oh.
Right before the start of the school day.
Only 30 minutes?
Only 30
Oh,
minutes.
we'd love to have them here long enough so they get the message to not come back. All right. Any other questions on this topic, Mr. Sherwood?
I'm sorry.
Okay. Other topics?
Councilmember Che is holding the transportation hearing today on what would be essentially a blowing up of the transportation structure in the city. What are your thoughts about a separate agency that will handle all the parking tickets, a transit authority to handle funding of transportation projects? Any thoughts in general about this big proposal she's made?
I haven't fully evaluated it. We'll participate, to some extent in the hearing today. I want to really have a more thorough evaluation of it. I don't think she worked with anybody in our administration, at least to my knowledge, in getting to this point. And something of this magnitude, it really is wise to work with, the executive to be able to get to some conclusions, and we probably would have a different set of more complete response at this stage if that had occurred, and may have a different, somewhat modified approach based on our own input. But we'll be happy to respond to it. I think these independent agencies always are difficult, and that's what it becomes, an independent agency. It's always difficult because then you're trying to negotiate as the executive and the legislative body constantly with them to be able to get things done. And something as fundamentally important as transportation is in the District of Columbia, I find it hard to think that we would want that outside of the executive leadership. And then we got this whole issue with streetcars. I don't know where that fits in anymore, assuming we still have streetcars in the District of Columbia, which, let me make it absolutely abundantly clear, I heartily support streetcars. We believed we had the funding in there to be able to fulfill the promises that have been made. 75 to 80% of the money has been put somewhere else now. And I think it potentially, we'll have more to say about it, but I think it potentially imperils the future of streetcars in the city, which I think would be just a huge setback for the District of Columbia. We need transportation alternatives with a growing population. We promised that we would have the 8th Street line up and running. We've talked about a 37-mile system, that the first phase of it would be a 22-mile system, that it would go across neighborhoods that aren't necessarily all that well served, some of which are not served at all by Metro, the trains, and the bus service may not be what people want it to be. It's a wonderful addition to transportation, public transportation in the city, that I think has an important place, and I certainly will continue to be an advocate for helping to make that happen. Any other, Matt?
In the Move DC report that came out Friday, Mr. Mayor, your administration may not see this through, but yours is the one that's proposing it. One of the things that's going to get people's attention is the idea of charging a toll to get into parts of downtown and charging fees to use parts of the highways and streets of DC. Why do you think that's a good idea?
Well, first of all, we have to maintain these streets. And if you look at it, our population is now around 600 and almost 650,000 people, who live in the city. But it doubles during the daytime to around 1.2, 1.3 million people, which means that a lot of those people who are increasing the numbers daily in the city are people who don't live here. And those streets have to be maintained. People will complain about potholes. They'll complain about street maintenance. They even complain about the work being done. And frankly, it's a way of us being able to have the revenue that's necessary to be able to ensure that the streets will be maintained well in the District of Columbia. And hopefully it will discourage some people from driving in, that they will take the metro in, they'll take the bus in to the District of Columbia rather than drive a car in, wind up having to park in a parking lot or, which is expensive, or, wind up getting on a meter, which can be expensive as well. So it's really the maintenance of our streets, and it's trying to encourage people to use a different method of transportation other than an automobile.
You said that people might stop driving in altogether. Is that a fear that perhaps it could chase away potential employers from setting up shop here because people can't get in to do their work?
No, I don't think we'll come to a point where people can't get in. They'll find a way to get in. I don't have any doubt about that. We just hope that it over time diminishes the number of automobiles that we have coming into the city, and frankly, for those who continue to drive, will help us generate the revenue to be able to maintain our streets. This is not unprecedented. There are other areas, I think, as London and areas of other nations that have actually charged money for people to come into certain areas of that city because they didn't want vehicular traffic there, or they didn't want them without cost because of the problems that have been created, the gridlock having been created as a result of them coming in. I think London, again, is one of those places.
On that same subject, you don't think that Congress would allow the city to put up toll roads into the city of Cleveland?
I think there will probably be resistance to it, and there will probably be some who will try to portray this as a commuter tax. But I think we can make a very strong case for the fact that, like anybody else, we deserve to be able to generate the revenues to maintain the streets for the people who use them.
So next week, the committee that's looking at school boundaries is going to come out with a second set of proposals. First question, have you talked to the deputy mayor about what these new proposals might look like? And second, did you have any thoughts on what the first kind of proposals they had were like?
Well, this is an iterative process, and it will continue to be. I talk to the deputy mayor once a week, and first of all, let me underscore what hopefully most of you know, and that is this is a process that has not been undertaken in any kind of systematic or comprehensive way in over 40 years, 45 to 50 years in the city, so it's long overdue. This school is an example of the boundary issues because you got kids coming from many parts of the District of Columbia in this boundary, let alone those who are out of boundary and come to Wilson High School. So there probably needs to be some rethinking of the boundaries here, and that's all a part of the process. I have not looked at the most recent proposals that will come out, but this is, I want to make sure people understand this is not the plan that we're advancing. These are ideas that are being put together based on the meetings that the deputy mayor and her staff have had all over the city in the last several months. We reflect those ideas, take them back out, and see how people feel about them. And, by fall, we should have a plan that we can put together that we think will demonstrate the sentiments that people have expressed about this very complicated process. I think it's long overdue. I mean, I took it on because I really feel like we need to have a more systematic approach to how we capture, preserve neighborhood schools and the importance of neighborhood schools in the city.
On that subject, if I can. Yeah. Both the candidates, principal candidates for mayor, Muriel Bowser and Dave Catania, said we should press the pause button. I think the plan is for the deputy mayor to have a plan out in September, but and now Bowser, I think, is agreeing that this should be delayed with more thought, if you can have any more public discussion, because of the disruptive nature of it and the fear it's causing among some, even Kenyon McDuffie said on the Kojo show the other day, parents in his Ward 5 are very, very nervous that they're not going to be going to neighborhood schools. And so
I don't see any. I don't have any reason to push the pause button, Tom. We're going to continue on with this. We'll continue to get feedback. We think we thought it was an important project to take on at its very inception. We continue to feel strongly about that. And we ask people to participate with us in being able to get to the finish line. If we see along the way that there continues to be legitimate unrest, I don't think there'll ever be complete, comfort about this, because it's change, and people just simply don't like change. Even some of the most modest change is resisted. And something of this enormity, there's going to be resistance of one kind or another. So no, we don't intend to push the pause button at all. We're going to continue to forge on with all deliberate speed and do it in the most systematic and organized way that we possibly can. This is not, any knee-jerk reaction. This was not a hurried effort, if you will. We've been working on this for months. We have months ahead to work on it, and we're doing it in an organized way.
I know it wasn't part of your budget, but this so-called fitness gym yoga tax was kind of slipped in, and I'm wondering, do you have an opinion on it? A lot of folks seem to be upset about it. The chairman told me the other day it would raise about $5 million a year. Are you against it?
Yes. This has come up before, and I was against it then, and I'm against it now. Why would we want to discourage people from dealing with fitness challenges? Why would we tax something? It seems to me we want to incentivize people to do what they're doing. These people are going to, fitness outlets, fitness clubs, whatever the case may be, and working to put themselves in shape. Imagine, and all we can do is imagine, but imagine the health care costs that are saved as a result of people doing this. So we collect a few dollars on a tax, and then how much have we lost because people are not as fit as they otherwise might be because they may not go. So I think we should be finding ways to incentivize people to do these things. We talk, ad nauseum about the problem of obesity in our society, and yet this, to me, disincentivizes people from addressing the possibility of becoming obese or, being able to eliminate that problem for themselves.
Mr. Mayor, Tony Williams, the former mayor and the chairman of the Tax Revision Commission that you appointed, says that it was an effort to broaden the base of taxes, and he gave the example that a person goes to a restaurant and eats a healthy meal, a vegetarian healthy meal, he or she still pays the 10% tax, and that the goal here is to get industries to pay the sales tax on a more broad basis.
This is not the first time this has arisen, and I first of all appreciate the work that Mayor Williams did. It's kind of a thankless task. Because no matter what you propose, there's going to be somebody who's against it. So I really appreciate the fact that he took this on. But as I said to him, there were certain things that I support, there's certain things that I don't support. And I felt that there were investments we had to make that were reflected in this budget, like education and affordable housing, as opposed to investing in tax cuts. But this is just one that I don't support. I also don't support the, what they call it, the head tax, where there's a $100 a year tax imposed on employees in the District of Columbia. And one of the things that, I certainly wanted to see is that we would encourage more people to participate in the patterns of life here in the city. And I hope this doesn't encourage people to go outside the city and join a health fitness club, that they will use the ones that are here in the city and not the ones that are Maryland and Virginia, because a lot of them are very close in to the District of Columbia.
Yes, Mike. Your take on this bipartisan group in Congress that are requesting that the D.C. government rename International Place Northwest for the human rights activist Leo Shobo? Some say this would set a bad precedent, that there's a slippery slope argument that why not go after other embassies around the city that have equally bad or worse human rights records? Any take on that?
I can't evaluate it yet, Mike. I haven't looked at it with any, with any depth. I certainly will do that, but I wish they would also take up the cause of autonomy for the District of Columbia, so that we can make decisions on our own budget, we can make decisions on our own laws, and eventually not have to ask Congress about anything affecting the people who live in the District of Columbia. As far as the proposal that you put on the table, I really don't have a position on it yet.
Okay.
Thank you all very much.